Today I want to show how to make your own buttercream. You can buy icing, of course, already made in the store, but usually the cans of icing, like the Betty Crocker or the Duncan Hines that you can find down the cake aisle in the grocery store, they're really soft and they're really hard to work with, especially if you're going to be doing any decorating. You need a thick consistency for your icing, but that's something that's also fluffy and lightweight, so you're not eating a whole bunch of really thick, sweet icing. So I'm going to show a way to make some buttercream that will be soft and fluffy, so it'll be light, almost like a whipped topping, but it will also hold the consistency enough for you to make a rose or be able to make some sort of a design that's not just going to flop as soon as you set it on the cake or as soon as it gets outside into a little bit of heat. So I'll talk about some of the things that I have here in my little setup. So of course I've got my gloves on. I've got my KitchenAid mixer here, a stand mixer. And I just have, let me flip the top of it back. There's a lock on the side so you can flip the top back. I have my bowl just fitted on here. On the bottom, it just twists back and forth to release. Inside the bowl, I've got the whisk attachment. I don't have it attached yet, but I'll show how to do that. Then I have, let me attach this back until you lock it in place. It won't click locked, but you'll know that it's locked because you won't be able to twist it anymore. And I have a couple of spatulas that I'll be using. So I've got just a regular rubber spatula like this, just a cheap one that you can find anywhere. And then I've got this one here, which is more of a spoon. It's actually called a spoonula. It's a rubber spatula, but it also can scoop because it's got the shape here. So I've got a couple different things I'll be using to get my buttercream out of the bowl on the mixer, but also that I'll be using while it's mixing, and I'll explain that. You have to stop your mixer every so often to use your spatula to scrape down the icing. So let me get the whisk fitted onto the mixer. I've also got all my ingredients ready here. So I have some Crisco, or just vegetable shortening. You're only going to need a cup of that for a small batch, but you have to buy them in the big tubs. They go fast though if you're using a lot of icing. I have 16 ounces, a whole pound. It's a new box. That's how they come. Just one box is 1 pound, so that makes it easy. You don't have to measure the stuff out. This is confectioner's sugar. Sometimes they sell this stuff in a bag. Sometimes the bags can be up to 2 pounds. I like the boxes because they're easier to store, because they're just nice and neat and they can stack up so you can see what you have in the cabinet. And I also like them because if you're not going to use the whole box, well, this is already measured to a pound, so you don't have to mess with trying to figure out what's half a box or half a bag. But also, if you happen to open this up and not use all of it for some reason, at least you have a nice neat box to keep it in. You don't have a messy bag that's going to have to be twisted up. It's not going to stay in your cabinet very well or look very nice. So I'll just want to make sure I know that this is a powdered sugar. This is the bright white powdered sugar, not the granulated sugar. It's not crunchy. It's very soft. It's very fluffy. This is the stuff that looks like flour. Alright, I've also got a measuring cup that has some water in it. I didn't measure the water that's in the cup, but I do have a tablespoon in it because when we add water to our buttercream, we'll add a tablespoon at a time. So I have that for measuring. And then I have 2 different kinds of vanilla extract to show, because if you're making buttercream, you want to have a flavor. You don't have to use vanilla. You could use other flavors if you're trying to do something like peppermint or rum flavor, almond. But if you want just a classic vanilla flavor, you can use this stuff here. It's just a regular pure vanilla extract. It's brown. I know the bottle's brown, but inside it's also brown. And so when you use this stuff, if you're trying to get a nice bright white icing, this is going to turn your icing slightly like an ivory color, because you're going to be adding dark brown to white icing. So it'll still taste good in there, have good flavor, but it will give your icing a little bit of a brown color. If you don't want that, then they make this stuff here. You kind of have to get it at a craft store though, Hobby Lobby or Michael's or somewhere. But they make a clear vanilla extract, and it tastes the same and it has the same flavor and smell, only it won't change the color of your icing. So this is what we're going to be using. So I have a measuring cup here, separate from the one that has water in it. This one's empty. This goes up to a half cup here. So I'll fill this up twice to the top with the Crisco, the shortening. and I'll use a rubber spatula to do that so I can pack it in, because the rubber spatula will be able to move and smush all that shortening into the cup for me. So that's what I'll be using to fill this cup. So that's what the 1/2 cup looks like. I'm going to do a whole cup because I'm going to do a whole batch of buttercream. So I'm going to do a whole cup of this stuff. This is just 1/2 cup at a time. I'm going to use the rubber spatula after I've smoothed out the top to make sure I don't have any air in there and I don't have it piled high to get too much. I'm going to use a rubber spatula to just get this out and put it into the mixer. And I'm just doing it one more time. I've got 1 more 1/2 cup. This will make a total of 1 whole cup of the shortening, and I'm putting it right into the mixer bowl. Now I'm going to add the whole box of the confectioner sugar. So it's in a plastic bag inside the box. Just cut the top off the bag. I just leave the whole thing in the box so I have less mess when I go to throw everything away. So cut the top of it off and then just pour it all in there. Then we will throw in the 1 tablespoon of water right here. Just a tablespoon for now. And I don't really measure this stuff, but you can put about a teaspoon of the vanilla extract in there. Some people pour it into the cap and use a cap full as their measurement, or 2 caps. I don't like to do that because then I get a bunch of extract inside the cap, and when I go to close it up, it'll drip down the side. I don't like to make things messy unnecessarily, so I just eyeball it and watch until I have what I think is about a teaspoon. If you want to measure it, get out a teaspoon and measure it so you can be sure. All right, then we're going to lock our mixer down, and I'm going to start it on a very low speed. I'm just going to turn it up to the first setting. The KitchenAid has 10 different settings, so I'll turn it up to the first one, which is called stir. And it'll just go very slow because you don't want a big puff of that powder in your face. So kind of work some of the Crisco and powdered sugar in to the mixture, and then you can gradually increase the speed. So right now, I'm going to turn this off so I can show you what it looks like. But I gradually increased the speed over just about 30 seconds, not even a whole minute. And I also added 2 more tablespoons of water as it was stirring. So add 1 and then give it a few seconds and then add another one to soften it up, because you'll see that only adding 1 will make it a little bit clumpy. And so it's still very dry at the bottom, and you'll have to add another one, but you want to do it gradually so you don't put a whole bunch of water in one little area of this and it doesn't mix in. So right now I'm just going to unlock this so I can lift the top up. You'll see the little whisk on here is full of buttercream, and I'm going to use my spatula to scrape down the side of the bowl, because if I can unlock this for a second and show, it's all stuck all over the side. And what's going to happen is I have a pocket there that didn't get touched. It's very dry. That's just a clump of the confectioner sugar, and I need to make sure it all mixes in, or you're going to have some dry spots in your icing. So I'm just going to scrape down the sides. And I just mean by taking the edge of the sharp edge of your rubber spatula and just sort of pressing it all, cleaning it off the sides of the bowls and pushing it down to the bottom. Right. Okay, I'm going to just wipe it off on the whisk. So now we'll go ahead and reattach our bowl. Put this back in place, lock it, and then turn up the speed again. I'm going to turn this off again. Only let it mix for a couple of minutes. I don't really watch the clock. I just watch the buttercream. If the buttercream looks like it needs a little help, I stop the mixer, I open it back up, and I scrape the sides of the bowl back down, and then I start to remix. So I did add another, about a 1/2 tablespoon that time when I mixed for a couple of minutes. It all really depends on the temperature of where you're at. So, you know, and keep in mind the temperature also of your Crisco. So if you're in a cold house and you like to keep that air really low, then your Crisco might be a little harder. If you keep it room temperature, and it'll be a little softer and easier to work with. I know the name is buttercream, so some people want to put butter in this so it will have a good butter flavor. But the thing is, if you use real butter, it gets too oily, and butter can melt in just like if it gets a little higher than room temperature, butter can start to melt. But Crisco will not do that. Crisco will hold its shape, and it will stay firm. enough for you to not have liquid buttercream. So if you do try to use butter in place of Crisco, that's what's going to happen. Your buttercream's going to flop. It's going to taste really good, but it's going to flop when you try to make a rose or something out of it. They do make, like I was talking about earlier, extracts. They do make a butter flavor, which doesn't, oh, the sun is coming in so bright, which the butter flavor does not, it doesn't change the consistency because you're using it in place of this. So you're just using a teaspoon of it for one batch of buttercream, but it'll give it the flavor that you're looking for if you want it to taste like butter. They also make Crisco in a butter block, but the problem with that is it's yellow in color, so it looks like margarine. So unless you're planning on tinting your buttercream yellow or green or orange or some color that can complement that or mix well with it, you probably don't want to use the yellow butter flavored Crisco. So just something to note. But right now I am going to unlock this, lift it up again. I'm going to scrape my bowl. Only this time I'm going to take the whisk off also and just sort of get all that icing banged off into the bowl as well, because I have a feeling some of this stuff is probably a little rocky from the sugar and it needs a little help mixing in. Let me scrape all this down. It's still very heavy. It is not that fluffy stage, so we're not done yet. All right, and then give this a little whack on the side gently. All right, that's pretty good. And then I'll reattach this, and I'm going to now feel that I am able to put this back on the mixer and turn it up to about a medium speed. And I'll probably want to leave it on for about 10 minutes and then come back and check it. So at this point, you can walk away from your mixer and you can go get some errands done in your house. You can go get some things done that you need to do. Go make that phone call, get up, go to the bathroom, get a snack, and then come back and we'll check out our buttercream and see if it's starting to get fluffy. All right, so I just turned off this crazy mixer. It sounded like it was about to take off. It was going so fast. And I did have it on full speed near the end there, but I let it mix for about 10 minutes. I didn't add any more water. I'm about to get this out of here and see how it feels, see if it's a good enough consistency to make something like a rose. All right, let's get that out of there. Keep in mind, the longer you mix it, the fluffier it can be, and also the less gritty it will appear. So there we go. All right, now reviving buttercream that has sat around for a little too long and maybe it's getting a little chunky and it's not so pleasant to work with anymore is easy to do. You just plop it back into the mixer, add a tiny bit of water, just a little bit at a time as needed. It depends on how chunky it got while it was sitting around. And then just re-whip it. Whip it on your mixer until it has the consistency you're looking for or until it looks workable again. But you don't want to let it sit around for too long. Storing this stuff is easy too. You just put it in a container, airtight container somewhere. You don't need to keep it in the fridge, nothing like that. Actually, that would kind of mess with your buttercream because it would get cold and it start to crack, and reviving it or getting it workable would be a little more difficult. All right, so let's see. I can put some of this into a cup. So it's nice and fluffy. It's very lightweight. All right, so it's nice and fluffy. Let me turn this to its side so you can see how fluffy it is. So it's very lightweight. It's nice and bright white. It doesn't have that brownish color to it or an ivory look because we didn't use the brown regular pure vanilla extract. We used the clear, and it would look the same if you were to use a flavor like, your rum flavor, almond extract, something like that. It would have the same look. It would be nice and bright white like this. It's very fluffy. And so I'll just put a little bit into a cup here and tint it. Got a nice purple color. I'll get my squeeze gel, just a tiny drop in there. The less coloring you put, I think the nicer it works in your icing because it'll come out with a nice pastel color and you don't mess too much with the consistency. The darker your icing is, the more you're putting this liquid gel into it, and so of course it will change your consistency just a bit. I just put a couple of drops because I want you to be able to see that nice purple. It's a little too pale. So a funny story is that my mom was teaching a cake decorating class one time, and she said on the syllabus that she needed everyone to make their batch of buttercream, and she gave this recipe that I'm giving to you right now. And she specified that, you have to use a stand mixer or something that's electric so it can stir it quickly and get it whipped with air. And then someone came into class and her buttercream just didn't look right. And my mom was so nice, she didn't want to say she did it wrong, but you know, she was saying your buttercream looks a little different. I can't really tell what is different about it. Did you use granulated sugar? Did you use butter instead of Crisco? No, didn't do any of that. Did you use a stand mixer? And the girl said, no, I don't have a stand mixer. So on my way here, I just stirred it really fast at red lights. And that story has always stuck with me. And I just thought, how silly. So let me show you how I make this rose real quick with this nice stiff consistency icing. All right, so let's get this rose going here. All right, seems to hold its shape. It's not flopping off the nail, so we got a good consistency. You could always put it on for a little longer if you want it to be a little bit smoother, but it holds up and it's not flopping, so we know we got a good thick consistency on this one.